At 72, Pierce Brosnan speaks with a calm honesty that only time and loss can teach, reflecting on a life shaped as much by resilience as by success. For decades, the world has known him as elegance personified, a man whose presence carried confidence and charm, yet behind that polished exterior lived a quieter story of endurance. Fame arrived, but never erased memory. Success followed, but never replaced meaning. Brosnan now looks back not to glorify achievement, but to understand it, tracing the long road that led him from a fractured childhood to global recognition, and ultimately to wisdom earned through hardship. He speaks less about conquest and more about connection, less about accolades and more about gratitude. In this reflective stage of life, Brosnan no longer performs strength. He embodies it softly. His voice carries the steadiness of someone who has survived grief, love, and reinvention, and who finally feels at peace telling the truth about all of it. An Irish childhood marked by absence. Pierce Brendan Brosnan was born on May 16, 1953, in the small Irish town of Navan, County Meath, a place defined by tradition, restraint, and quiet endurance. His earliest years were shaped by absence rather than security, as his father left when Pierce was still an infant. Soon after, his mother moved to London to train as a nurse, believing distance was a temporary sacrifice for a better future. Young Pierce was left behind, raised by relatives and later placed in a boarding environment that demanded emotional self-reliance long before childhood should have ended. Loneliness became familiar, silence a constant companion. Yet within that solitude, something resilient formed. He learned observation, patience, and self-control, qualities that would later define his screen presence. Even as a child, Brosnan learned to stand on his own, absorbing uncertainty quietly, developing an inner life that would later fuel his craft. Discovery of imagination and performance. At 11, Pierce reunited with his mother in London, stepping into a world that felt vast and alive compared to the quiet confines of his earlier years. The city exposed him to art, cinema, and possibility, awakening curiosity where restraint once lived. A single moment proved transformative. Watching a fire eater perform at a circus, a fleeting spectacle that ignited something profound. It wasn't fame that captivated him, but transformation, the power of performance to command attention and emotion. Shy by nature, Brosnan was more observer than participant. Yet the stage offered him a paradoxical freedom. Acting allowed him to be seen without being exposed, to express emotion through character rather than confession. That realization stayed with him. What began as fascination grew into purpose, guiding him toward formal training and a future he could not yet imagine, but instinctively trusted. Discipline, training, and early recognition. Brosnan trained at the Drama Centre London, an institution known for its rigorous discipline and classical foundation. There, talent alone was not enough. Commitment, emotional depth, and resilience were demanded daily. Brosnan thrived within structure, channeling his quiet intensity into focused performance. His instructors recognized something rare, a blend of charisma and sensitivity, strength balanced by introspection. In the early 1980s, his breakthrough came with Remington Steele, a role that introduced him to international audiences as a modern gentleman hero. The series showcased not just charm, but intelligence and wit, establishing Brosnan as a leading man long before cinematic superstardom arrived. Yet, even as recognition grew, he remained grounded, aware that success was fleeting. He treated opportunity as responsibility, not entitlement, continuing to refine his craft rather than relying on image alone. redefining James Bond for a new era global superstardom, arrived in 1995, when Pierce Brosnan became the fifth actor to portray James Bond in GoldenEye. The role carried enormous expectation, yet Brosnan approached it not as inheritance but as reinvention. His Bond blended sophistication with emotional vulnerability, reflecting a world no longer defined by simple heroism. Audiences responded immediately. Through films like Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day, Brosnan helped modernize the franchise, grounding spectacle in character. He portrayed Bond not as invincible, but human, capable of doubt and consequence. The success redefined his career, yet he never allowed the role to define him completely. Brosnan understood that longevity required evolution, not repetition, and even at the height of Bond's popularity, he quietly prepared for the day he would move on. A career built on reinvention after Bond, Brosnan consistently resisted stagnation, choosing variety over comfort. He surprised audiences with dramatic depth in The Matador, romantic sophistication in The Thomas Crown Affair, and joyful vulnerability in Mamma Mia. Later roles demonstrated continued versatility, from the mystical calm of Dr. Fate in Black Adam to grounded performances in Fast Charlie and The Thursday Murder Club. Brosnan never chased trends. He followed curiosity. Each role reflected a willingness to explore different facets of humanity, refusing to be limited by past success. This commitment to reinvention kept his career vibrant while peers faded into nostalgia. For Brosnan, acting was not about maintaining status, but remaining engaged. The work mattered because it allowed growth, expression, and relevance, proving that longevity is earned through courage to change rather than fear of fading. Love, loss, and enduring devotion. Behind the career stood a personal life marked by profound love and devastating loss. Brosnan married actress Cassandra Harris in 1980, forming a partnership grounded in mutual respect and creative understanding. He adopted her 2 children as his own, building a family defined by choice rather than biology. Cassandra was his anchor, supporting him through early career uncertainty and sharing dreams of the future. When she became ill, Brosnan stood by her with unwavering devotion, prioritizing presence over ambition. Her death in 1991 left a silence no role could fill, permanently reshaping his understanding of love and mortality. Grief altered him, softening ambition into gratitude, confidence into compassion. The loss did not close his heart, but deepened it, teaching him that love's greatest value lies not in its permanence, but in its sincerity. Renewal through partnership and family. A decade later, Brosnan found renewed stability with journalist and activist Keely Shea Smith, whose warmth and grounded spirit complemented his introspection. Their relationship grew quietly, rooted in friendship, shared values, and mutual respect. Together, they built a family centered on presence rather than image, raising 2 sons while maintaining a life removed from Hollywood excess. Their marriage became admired not for glamour, but for authenticity, a partnership defined by loyalty, humor, and shared purpose. Keely brought balance, reminding Brosnan that joy could coexist with memory, that moving forward did not mean leaving the past behind. In this partnership, he rediscovered ease, learning that love after loss carries different expectations, but no less depth. It was a chapter not of replacement, but renewal, offering stability earned through experience. Remembering Robin Williams with reverence. From this place of reflection, Brosnan finally spoke openly about his friendship with Robin Williams, forged during Mrs. Doubtfire and remembered with deep affection. He described Williams as a once-in-a-generation presence, a force of creativity whose humour carried compassion and vulnerability. On set, Williams treated everyone equally, transforming laughter into connection rather than performance. Brosnan recalled moments of quiet gentleness beneath the energy, sensing an emotional depth that words rarely captured. When Williams passed in 2014, the loss felt physical, as though something essential had vanished from the world. Brosnan speaks not with speculation, but respect, honouring a man who gave joy freely and asked little in return. For him, Robin's legacy lives not only in iconic roles, but in the humanity he shared, reminding others that kindness is its own form of brilliance. Gratitude, perspective, and a life well lived at 72, Pierce Brosnan reflects not with regret, but clarity, honouring the people and moments that shaped him. He understands now that success is temporary, but connection endures. Loss taught him empathy, love taught him patience, friendship taught him humility. His journey stands as testament to the power of resilience without bitterness, of elegance grounded in sincerity. Brosnan believes deeply that the world is better for those who give themselves fully, as Robin Williams did, as Cassandra Harris did, and as he strives to do quietly each day. His story reminds us that strength can be gentle, that reflection is not weakness, and that a life well lived is measured not by roles played, but by love given. In looking back, Brosnan does not chase legacy. He honours it, grateful simply to have been part of something meaningful.